The good thing is like when you have a contrasting experience and once you felt something wrong and then you feel something, like my appreciation was like 1,000-fold. Because when it's your only experience, you're like, I don't know, was that bad? Was it good? How was yours? How are you? I was just like wanted to know
Yeah.
everyone's experience because I was like, surely I hope this isn't everyone. So anyway, my
Wait, one thing I did want to
yeah.
say, because like when you shared the first story, you were still, it seemed like even like telling the story, like you refelt like all the feelings that you felt then. So it still feels like it's like it was so bad that it can evoke the same traumatic like feelings that like come from there. And so I really just wanted to hold you when you were feeling that. And I'm really, I know it wasn't my fault or anything like that, but I'm just like really sorry as like a human being that you went through something like that. And that I'm glad that the second pregnancy was, you felt 1,000-fold appreciation and it was good and I wiped that out. But yeah, I think a moment of silence is required for that experience. I'm glad I told you that God was there and that you remembered that in that moment. Because, oh my gosh, can you imagine in the depths of hell by yourself, like when no one else was around you?
I think, no, I appreciate that. And it's definitely, I can recall this story and share it up here,
Yeah.
or I can sit, right? There was moments that I just let myself because 100% I carry, it's forever a part. It's just a story in your life. And the feelings, like I'm a very sensitive person. I experience life very much through my feelings. And so I know there was moments when I was talking, I was like shaking inside. I just experienced things very physically, which also probably made that experience even worse. But I think what helps me is I do believe that these moments are opportunities for us to rely upon God. Because often we go through the world being like, I got this, I can do it, I don't need anyone, I don't need anything. And we can, but to a point. And there's some moments that are just like humbling that we're like,
Mm.
yeah, like I'm glad I had help there. And I don't know, like one of my favorite quotes from the Baha'i writings is the more difficulties one sees in the world, the more perfect one becomes. And at the very end, it's that is why I'm glad you have had hardship, or I'm glad you have had sadness, because it's for our perfecting. And so to me, that experience is just as valuable as a great experience. Like, I don't view hardship as bad. I would love if no one in the world had to have these hard moments, right? Because it's just, it sucks. But also, I'm like really grateful for them and really thankful because they've given me like a resilience. They've given me perspective. They've given me empathy. They've given me appreciation. They've given me gratitude. Like,
Mm.
there's so much I gained from that experience that maybe it sounds psychotic to be like, I would not trade that.
Mm.
I wouldn't. I would not trade that because it also showed me like what I'm capable of. And I think the interesting thing about the world is there's this interplay that like we're all growing and learning alongside of each other. So
Hmm.
sometimes my mistakes were like hurtful to someone else. Like me being imperfect was hurtful to someone else, but it gave them the opportunity to forgive or to grow, or right. And so there's other things that have happened to me in my life because someone else was stumbling and they stumbled the heck all over me. And without understanding that like I'm protected from you, your mistakes, you're protected from mine. Like my soul, you can hurt my feelings, you can hurt my body, you can't hurt my soul. And so to me, that experience like helped my soul grow and helped my soul soar. It hurt my body for sure, like emotionally, that was rough, but like my soul gained from it. So I think knowing that and believing that gives that a different experience for me. And that's why to me, it's I can share it, I can talk about it, I can sit in it, I can live it emotionally,
Mm.
but I can also just take it as a positive thing.
You
I think
know,
what's confusing sometimes for me and for women is like, it should not be that way. We should not have to be that strong. We are. We're super awesome. We're super strong. We shouldn't have to be in those very vulnerable situations, but like we can because we're so capable. And the people in those situations, it was so confusing because I was like, I felt loved by them. I remember hugging the doctor when I checked out. And then a month later, I was like, I'm mad at him. I don't want to ever see him again. But right after the birth, I felt like he was like a father. So it's right. And I'm sure there's that like trauma abuse relationship. But again, I really don't think anyone there was bad intentioned. I think those were the practices. I think everyone was doing the best they could with what they know. And that's how I tend to go through life. Like we are all making these mistakes like on top of each other. And if we take it personally, or we just focus on like where we feel we've been slighted and we hang on to like anger for that person, it just keeps us from getting the growth that we could. I always look at my daughter. She forgives so quickly. It's annoying, right? Like she'll do something that makes me angry. I lose my cool. I feel bad about it, but like I'm mad about what she did because she started it. But then I try to immediately apologize and be like, I'm really sorry. Mama didn't handle her anger very well. And she's like, it's okay, Mama. I'm sorry about what I did too. And she's done. And sometimes I'm like still a little bit angry. Like I'm gonna need like 10 minutes because what you did like really made me angry. But I realized that's just like my ego. No, you don't get how angry you made me. And I want her to get it, but she's 4 and she's moved on. And so I'm like, who am I to punish her when like she's apologized and moved on? So to me, it's like everyone in that situation, it took me a long time probably, but I'm good. I'm good with that. Especially again, having this second experience. If I thought I loved my first doctor, I fell in love with my second. I wrote them love letters. I wrote it's a big experience when you're vulnerable, and it's a lot of emotions, and there's a lot of potential for connection. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for really positive connection.
Go for it. Share with us.
So let me tell you, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and I felt like someone with a steel toe shoe had kicked me in my vagina. I just like, what? I like woke up and I was like, whoa, what? And something about me was like, okay, wait, there's a prayer for expectant mothers. And I was like, I want to say that one more time before he comes, because once he's here, I'm not expecting. So I start saying this prayer, and like halfway through, I'm like, nope, I'm having contractions. And in my head, I've had this mama posse in the next world, like this Abha kingdom mama mothers who have passed on. And one of my best friends and another friend, I've always like thought of their moms, just calling them to mind to help me be a good mother. And literally these two women, their faces, like they felt like they were there. I just felt accompanied right in that moment. I can't explain it. So then I'm like, oh, because I'm like second time mom, I'm like, I got the app to check my contractions. Like, we're going to do this right. We'd taken a breathing class at this point. Like, they say labor at home as long as you can, take a shower, watch movies. I'm like, I'm going to crush this. I'm going to labor at home as long as I can. And then I was like, start the app, timing my contractions. And then I'm like, oh, I think water is about to break. I don't know what that feels like, but it felt like a rush was coming. I ran to the toilet and I made it. Hey, yo. After all my fluids not making it into a toilet, my first one, this felt big. So my water broke on the toilet. Yeah, literally. And then I look at the phone because I'm sitting there like going through my contractions, and I look at the phone and it's get to the hospital immediately. And I'm like, huh? Because they had said, you're going to start labor, you're going to watch a movie, take a hot shower. So I was like, man, like I'm coachable. I was an athlete, I was like, I'm going to take a hot shower. So my husband had been sleeping downstairs with my daughter. I text him. I was like, I think I'm going into labor. My mom was with us too. I was like, I think I'm going into labor. I need to go to the hospital. He comes upstairs, he calls the hospital, and they're like, okay, like how far are contractions? And he's like, I think they're pretty close. And so he's telling them whatever. And I get back to the bed, and then they were like, okay, why don't you go ahead and come in? And I remember I was sleeping with a tank top and my underwear. Not much fits when you're pregnant. So the most comfortable thing is less is more. It was summer. And I just remember thinking like, I need to get some shorts on. The bedroom's upstairs. We had to get downstairs to get to the car. And so my husband's packing because we're like, we're going to have an overnight bag. We're going to do this better. This was like 38 and a half weeks. My daughter was 37. So he's like packing the bag. And I think I had it pretty packed anyway. And I'm telling him things to throw in, and I'm just like breathing. So the contractions were very close. And then, but I couldn't find a moment to get shorts on. I kept breathing through and now I'm like breathing the way I want to. I even remember my mom coming in and saying, Carly, breathe like this. And I was like, no, I'm going to breathe, please. I was like, let me breathe how I want to this time. And
say it, girl. You tell
like,
him
okay.
how you want to breathe.
Yeah,
you tell him.
You gonna do it my way this time. I did. And then, so I kept waiting for like the break in contractions to get some shorts on and out the door. And I wasn't getting it. And so my husband, I was like, well, I can't, like they keep coming. So I'd go back into it, like breathing through it, and then go back into it. So he calls the hospital again, and he's like, she can't get to the car. And they were like, we can call you an ambulance, but it will be quicker if you can get in the car and bring her. So I'm like, okay, I'm coachable. I would get in that car. So I find a break, and I knew I either had time to get shorts on and that would be it, or get down to the car. So I was like, go. So my husband's holding the shorts, like I can just like two-legged cartoon jump in, and I'm like going down. So I go downstairs and I get in the car, and he lays it back. So I'm just like tank top and underwear, giant pregnant woman laying in the car. And I just remember we get in the car, and he's, do you want some music on? And I'm like, please drive. I'm like not worried about radio. Yeah, can I get 97.8? I was like, just please drive. Like, you're trying to be as respectful as you can. Again, I'm big on how I treat people. So I was like, please just drive. Yeah. We started driving. The hospital is 30 minutes away. I will preface and say, I think my husband got us there in 20, because about halfway, of course, there's this stretch that's 15 miles per hour. It's like through this teeny little area. And that's when I went into like very active labor at that point. Like I was like, ah! Like I could feel, I was like, I have to push down now. Poor my husband, there's 3 cars in front of me, and we're going 15 miles per hour. And there was nothing he could do. So I just remember when he turned off that corner, homeboy floored it. And because he's so polite, every time he would go to overtake a car, he's like putting hazards on and trying to warn everyone, but like just going. And he called the hospital again because he's trying to talk, but I keep like screaming, oh! And so he was like, you can hear my wife. And they were like, yeah, okay, we're waiting at the ER entrance, just get here. Because he looked over and there's blood coming through her underwear. And they were like, okay, just get here as fast as you can. So he hangs up the phone. And then I remember, because when he had looked over and seen the blood, he was like, do you want me to pull over? I'll pull over. And I'm like, no, please. I was like, no, just please go faster. In my head, I was like, you are not birthing a baby, and I'm not doing it on the side of the road. So let's go. So he floors it. So we spurt into our entrance. I just remember like labor, like breathing down, and just, again, such a different feeling to my first experience. I felt what it was like to breathe a baby down, and I could feel he was coming down, and nothing in me was like wanted to hold anything in. Like I was just like, whatever. Like I was like pushing hard. I was like, I want to get this baby out as fast as I can. So we pull in, and I just remember the nurse, my doctor, her head peeking through. She was like, hey, Carly. And I was like, whoa, that moment again, like, angel, she's here. I felt so safe. I felt so happy. Like I was so happy to see her. And they pull out the gurney, and again, so gentle. They were like, hey, Carly, we're going to just help you on here. Everyone's here for you. So, and I'm like, come on, let's go. And they were so gentle, so calm, so loving. And so we get on and we go through, and again, I still remember moments being oh no, there was like a little bump, and they were like, oh, sorry, mama. There was like a tiny bump that the cart went over, and they're like, oh, sorry, mama. Like just such different treatment. So they pull in the bed, and I just remember being like, get it, my underwear, get it off. I was like, cut it off. Like, I was just like, and she was like, okay, I think if you just lift your hips, like, she was like, it's okay. We don't need to like cut all your clothes off. You just lift your hips. And she pulls the underwear off. And they were like, okay, he's crowning, your baby's coming, he's here. And it was funny because I found out later, like the ER staff was like waiting for us. Like they hadn't had an ER delivery in like over 20 years. So everyone was like very excited. They had a sign for us. They gave us a baby blanket. They were so lovely, so sweet. But the people in the ER, later the doctor tells me, I had done a training with them, But ER staff, like they're trained that like when they're screaming, something's wrong. And so she was telling them, no, everything about this is right. The mother should be making these. So they were there like with a crash cart. They were like, what do we need to do? And then I just remember laying there, and then this bright light was like shined at my vagina. It was like that big. And I just remember the doctor being like, okay, we don't need that. She turned off the light. She was like, thank you guys, thank you for your help. And she just closed the curtain so that it was then just like us and the nurse. And yeah, again, later I had like talked to her about that, and she was like, yeah, in my head, she was like, ain't no baby coming out to that amount of like light. Like that would just keep your child in. But yeah, I remember pushing, and then she was like, okay, let's try, like, why don't you turn over and lay on all fours with your butt towards me, like that. But she just like gently suggested, coached me through it. So I'm like on all fours, head down, and I like push. And they were just so patient. And they were all like, even the nurse was like, yeah, we can see his head, like we see his hair. And I was like, why aren't we getting this child out? Because I was like, hurt, like in my head is go. And they were just like very loving. And I remember she was like, do you want to touch your baby's head? And I was like, no, I just want him out. I want to hold my baby. I don't want to feel him when he's like half in, half out. But she was like, okay. She's like, all right, so one more time. And again, there was that feeling of I literally can't do this one more. But I was like, ding, that means I got to do it one more. And then whoop, he came out. And immediately I turn over it. They got my tank out. They put him right on my chest, skin to skin. And I just got to hold him. And they were just like lovingly taking care of everything else. And then even one of the nurses was like holding my legs up because they were like shaky and going crazy. So she was just like holding it. And then after we had got to like lovingly, they were asked my husband, do you want to cut the umbilical cord? And he was like, yes, okay. So he did that. They waited. There's a period of time you wait to get the last bit through the cord. They did that. They let him clamp it. They let him cut it. And then immediately they were like, would you like to start breastfeeding? And I was like, yes. I was never disconnected from my son, Liam, through the whole like skin to skin. And it was just like all these little lovely angels like working around us. Like this time I felt like they were my blanket. You know, before it was like God was like, I got you. This time it was like they got me. I felt very loved and protected by all of them. And then even when we went to breastfeed, you know, the nurse was like holding his head up so I could just focus on the breast. And she just gently held his head because you're like really weak and like full after birth. And she, held his, like I felt so supported. And then they put bars up and rolled us into the room that then we were going to stay the next night. And yeah, it was just amazing. It was lovely. I felt, and then even the doctor, when I had asked something, or I said, like, when you delivered him, and she said, no, you delivered him. I just caught him. And that feels huge to me. She didn't take credit for something the whole world always gives the credit to. You deliver a baby. And she's, no, you delivered the baby. I was just there to catch him. Yeah. The way they handled everything was so empowering and so loving and so like humanizing. It was funny then. This was during COVID as well. Technically, you were supposed to go into the hospital, get COVID tested, 45 minutes later, get your results, blah, blah, blah. Because we like skirted right into that ER, no intake work was done. So they were like, we need to do some paperwork. Who do you want? You get to choose one person to be with you through your birth. Who would you like that to be? Which my husband was there. And because of COVID, once one person's in, they have to stay in. So we were just joking. I was like, can I change that? Who I want there for my birth? It's like, it's so silly to do paperwork in reverse. And again, we weren't allowed to have visitors, but because of our first experience, we were like, we're good. We're good with that. They like Baha got to stay with me. In fact, he couldn't leave because of COVID. And they even like use like adult diapers instead of having the mesh underwear and cotton, and it was so messy. It was like adult diapers were there. They had the witch hazel stuff to put in, like they had everything there for us. So having gone from nothing was there, I was just so appreciative and so shocked at what they kept providing me with.
Mm.
Like, whenever you want to take a shower, I want to be here the first time you go to the toilet, just help you get there. But there was still privacy. There was still, so anyway, from the moment I got steel toed kicked in the vagina to birth was 1 hour.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically I started active labor in the car. And so it was like 20 minutes. And then I think when we got to the hospital, 10 minutes later, he was out. So it was like, if I could choose, and again, I did tear, I think, all the way, but she gave me like numbing stuff. And she was like, how's that feel? Are you okay? Like, it was a very different experience. Like, I hardly even remember the fact that I was stitched up. It didn't take that long. In fact, she was finishing up and they're like, another person needs you when you're ready. And she was like, okay, let me just finish up. And someone was like holding my legs again to support them because they were real like shaky and stuff. So yeah, I, again, like, just love and appreciation and all those big feelings for sure. But and that's what I was like, oh, I did that. I can do that. Women do that. We don't, unless there's complications, like, you're good. You will do it and you'll be fine. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It feels like such a like triumph
So
story, like after the first one.
yeah.
I think
Yeah, it's like a comedy and a drama, or however, there's two very contrasting experiences for sure.
oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I feel like we need to take a break from that emotional roller coaster. I was like, I'm so glad we had a good end here. I don't even know if I want to ask you anything else. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Just leading into the like super solid mom friend thing
Yes.
that I'm trying to do.
Please.
Yeah. That basically, like, these experiences, and then I did have a miscarriage. And honestly, like, the miscarriage was after both having two healthy children. But something about the miscarriage was another level for me of, again, women are amazing. Going through a miscarriage is another very difficult experience that doesn't end with the same high of you now get a baby, right? So there's a lot of different feelings. But again, I felt this appreciation knowing that there's other mothers who have gone through this, and even with babies farther along or stillbirths, or, oh my gosh, women can handle so much. Like, I think that's why we're very emotionally in tune. There's an emotional strength. Like, women have greater moral courage, and we need it because of what we have to go through. After that miscarriage, it was just like, I later found out, like, you have the hormones of a pregnancy and then they drop. So that emotional crash was very intense for me. And I felt like my emotions were at the surface. I literally felt like I could empathize with my children because I'm like, oh, this must be what you guys feel like. You just, if you're going to be angry, here it comes. If you're going to be sad, like, here it comes. So for 2 weeks, it was like really hard to regulate myself. But from that, I had this, I don't know if it's like creative energy burst, or I'm just like, I have to do something more for mothers and for motherhood. And I still don't know what it looks like, but I've started this like super solid mom friend Facebook group, making different videos that sort of highlight motherhood with humor. There's been like a couple raps. I just want things to be better for our children, for my daughter, for my son. Motherhood is very underserved. With this super solid mom friend thing, to me, it's this idea, it's what I want to embody, but what I feel like everyone needs to embody. Just be like a super solid friend to moms. And right now, it's mostly moms who care about moms. Which, again, blows my mind because you have the most exhausted people taking on, here, now let me also go care for you. Like, I'm caring for my family and my partner, but also I get how hard it is, so let me care for you. And again, to me, it's that we all have to care more about each other. And we have to literally believe that, like, populating the earth, that's what I always go back to. Having children, you don't have doctors, you don't have janitors, you don't have any other amazing profession unless you have a child. unless you have families helping to nurture good humans. And so to me, it's the foundation of society. Like, why wouldn't we give society a strong foundation? We're so busy putting out all these fires. As now we have mental health, which also are very important. I have it in my family. All these issues are so important. And also the foundation is like the most important. And it feels like we're operating on a overtired, desperate, exhausted foundation. And we're okay with that. We're okay with the discomfort of women. I think society is very comfortable with women having to be uncomfortable. And we're crushing it. Like we are. I like my first birth. I'll do that. I'll do it again and I'll do it better. I don't think anyone should have to. And so that's what, to me, this like group is. I don't know where it's going to go. And honestly, I almost started it and was like hoping that like hundreds of people would just scoop up and take it somewhere. We're a society that's, we want to sit and watch what other people do. So for now, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to give stuff for people to watch, maybe highlights parts of motherhood. But what I would really love is that it becomes more action based. Like we need more deeds, we need more action. Words are nice, pretty. We need to do something about it. And I don't know what that is, but something in my heart was like, I want to do something. And I know there's different things happening in the world. I'm looking to be a part of that. But to me, it's going to be minds collectively together, right? The truth sparks from consultation. And so the more people that can get on board with caring about mothers. And again, to me, this is like a call for people who aren't mothers, men, partners, single people, women who aren't mothers yet, men who aren't fathers yet, anything. As I go down the line, I'm like, everyone is involved in this. Everyone has a mother. You should care about that. You should care about people who are mothers now, because we're bringing people into the world. So yeah, to me, we're like super solid friends, super solid mom friends. Anyone who wants to just be there for a mom, if they have the time. I would love it if society would transform from, moms are at the bottom right now. They're the least desirable hire. Fathers, men who are married with children are the most desirable, and women who are married with children are the least desirable. And again, that's very confusing to me, because it's very confusing. It's like that insecurity that I have of, I know this is important and nothing would take me away from giving my time to this right now. I know there will be a shift and my kids will be older and then I could work and stuff like that, but it should not be held against women who take time out when the children are young to commit to them full time, because it's important. And honestly, it's like the skills and the abilities that I have gained through motherhood, I think you can gain other places, just not at the intensity, right? I think when it's actually appreciated and valued for what it is, when people start understanding what goes on with raising young children, you're like managing, you're like, if I think of all these job abilities, I get it from motherhood. We have to figure out how to be able to share that information so that it's packaged properly to now the person I am because I've become a mother.
Something that came to my mind when you were speaking was, you were like, yeah, moms populate the earth. That's why you guys should care about us and things like that. And I'm like, you don't need a reason for other people to care about you. It's like you're, as if you're like saying that first, the reason why humanity should care about moms is because we actually contribute and populate the earth. And I'm like, you don't need any excuse for society to take care of you. And because you are a member, one important member, in fact, the most important member of the structure of society. Like whenever we think of who is the first person we want to call when there's success, or who is the first person we want to call when there's failure, Who's the first person that's gonna watch your YouTube videos when they go live? It's your mom. Your mom is like your
Yeah.
homie G dog. Your mom is like the one who gets upset at why you only have 2 views, including her and probably your dad, that she forced him to watch. And she would be upset at why like other people get like thousands of views just talking about nothing when like my daughter, my child is going out there trying to say something that's like super important. At least this is what my mom's like. She gets super upset. Definitely, our moms are the first educators of all of us. And it's also the first one we go to. Like just when you were talking about the different ranks of what is the most desirable trait, and you were saying you didn't get it. I'm like, the reason, not that this is a good one, but I'm just like saying that one of the reasons why maybe women would not be the most prioritized in this circumstances is because their priority is their children. And for a father, they can weasel their way out of it. Whereas everyone knows, even jobs know, all the employers know that your mom is always going to be there for you. So that means if you have a mom as an employer, then she would be the first one to go because the child is more important than the job. And that is truth. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Whereas a male doesn't have that kind of excuse to be like, your wife can take care of it or something like that.
Yeah.
That excuse is not there. Not that is correct or anything like that, but there's also, I think, a real understanding that like mothers are super important and people know that, yet in other ways they can't acknowledge it like monetarily. Definitely not right. That's definitely something messed up in the society that we need to structure. But I find that in terms of love, like I'm sure you've seen some of these tests that they do with babies where the mom lays their head on the baby's head and then, or they try to eat the baby's food, they share it with the mom, and then the dad tries to lay on the baby's lap or eat their food and they're like, no, go away. No one is more in a child's heart than a mother. I think we haven't really understood how to monetarily show our appreciation towards mothers. But I think in the heart of every child that you ask, every human being, including myself and yourself, if we think about the role of our mothers in our lives, priceless. And there's no real value there that could ever replace something like that. And I think that value is so high that perhaps I'm just like thinking we still need to change and we still need to get our shit together as society for sure. I don't even want to finish my sentence because still we're going to need to change it.
I think we will.
Yeah.
I think we will. I think it's the shift between expectation and appreciation. Because mothers will keep doing what we do. That's not a threat. But there shouldn't be this like, we hope mothers keep doing what they're doing, so here we're gonna support you. No, support because you appreciate, right? Not because you're afraid that like we're not gonna go on strike or right. This isn't like a threat to society. We shouldn't have to do that. And I think that's why I go with, is it important or not that we populate the earth? Because that's appealing to that, but that's not where we want to go, right? And we know everyone's role is important. The father's role is important, or whatever the dynamic, right? Everyone who's involved in caring for a child is important. And I think we can acknowledge that. And we also need to acknowledge that at the beginning, the mother's contribution is the greatest, right? As society, we tend to like snowball into, if I say that, then what about them? Or what about them? No, it all can exist together. The father can be important and the mother can be more important at this period of time. Like my husband and I have seen that, like the dynamic does shift, right? As I'm feeling a little bit of break. When you're breastfeeding and the children need you 1,000%, that's different, but it should be acknowledged. It should be acknowledged and it should be appreciated. And I think as far as what you're saying, even though I was thinking about the way the kids need us, and it goes from mama, they always want mama. And when they're young, they're very self-centered. The imperfect soul is self-centered. We are all born the center of our universe. We need our needs met. We need our food, we need our sleep, right? And that's what we're here. And then as we mature and we grow, we become less and less self-centered. And then you become a mom. And when one's released from the prison of self, that is indeed true freedom. This is a quote from Abdu'l-Baha. That tidbit helps me as a mom, because sometimes I'm like, what about me? What about me? What about me? And then I'm like, wow, motherhood gives me this opportunity to be freed of self. I fight it because I'm like, what about me? Because I'm still imperfect, right? But it is this opportunity to genuinely be freed from self and think of others. And so your
You
kids go through this, mama, do this for me, mama, do this for me. So when they're young, there is expectation. But then hopefully when we get older, we're like, mama, thank you for doing this for me. And that's what I want from society. That instead of it going, yeah, moms should be doing that. That's your job. You should do that. You wanted a baby. You should. Why can't we just tweak that to be like, thank you for doing that? That's amazing. How can I support you so you can do that better?
Mm-hmm. Actually, speaking about supporting, how can the audience of the YAM podcast support you in your super solid mom friend initiatives? I think they should come onto your Facebook page and chat away and just join in on the conversation and watch your YouTube videos because they're hilarious. They're so good. Love it. The one about the rap for moms.
Yeah. That one was one of my friends, and I just met her like the day I met her. She has 2 twin girls, and she was just sharing, trying to get them into daycare. She was feeling like a little bit, it was like something on the website insinuated that you have to have exclusively breastfed or something, which is great. Breast is best. That's a good goal. But it's just not feasible for some people. Oh my gosh, think about the world of a breastfeeding mom of twins and how to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got super fired and was like, girl, this gangster rap flowed out me. I've never rapped before in my life, but it is super gangster to feed your baby.
Mom
I
popped
do not
out.
care how you do it. Yeah, it was like, it was wild. But as far as support, I think that's a good question. Yes, join the group. What I'm hoping for is just more involvement. Start a conversation in that space. I would love if more people started contributing, because I'm just one person. I'm not some mother guru. It's like now more mothers are starting to be able to make money with the information that they have. And part of me, until motherhood's a job, mothers should not have to pay for information to find out how to like get their baby to sleep. But at the same time, I get it. As a mother, you're like, I got to make a living too. We live in this world. But it's, again, to me, that's also a bit hard, because every mother should have access to like all the tricks that other mothers have learned to feed their child, to get them to sleep or whatever. So to me, I would just love that to become a supportive space where people can come with questions. If you're going through like miscarriages happen. One thing I really want to go against is this like idea of so much like secrecy, right? Pregnancy is like, well, don't tell anyone until you're pregnant till 3 months, because what if you lose it? I was like, I'm going to tell everyone I'm pregnant, because if I do lose it, that's that many more people that can support me. And then it happened. And I was like, oh, I get it. Now I got to go tell everyone. Like, it's maybe not the best route. Maybe there's a balance. I'm a very extreme personality. My poor husband is, tone it in sometimes. But I just want there to be more spaces that are safe, that women feel courageous, that we can start inviting other people into, because also men are a big part of this. Men are like half the world. And there's so much about motherhood that we go through alone. And so I don't fault anyone for not knowing how hard it is for a woman going through a miscarriage, or how hard motherhood is. I don't fault anyone for that, because the information just simply isn't shared as openly as I think it could. Because also it takes a lot of work to be that courageous, to be that vulnerable, to be like, I did not do a good job today. Or not that I didn't do a good job, but that my good job was like not my best. It was not my best self. And that's why I do think some of motherhood is like very graciously balled up in behind the walls of the home, so that like when my patience didn't last as long as it needed to, the whole world isn't watching me blow my cap at my kids and then cry in the room because I feel bad and then go, right? There's some parts of motherhood that are so vulnerable that maybe shouldn't be open to judgment. because the world is still judging.
Mm.
When the world stops judging and starts supporting and encouraging, then I think people will feel safer to share. And so to me, that's this space. Like, I would even love it if men asked questions, but to remember that like moms are the expert, right? Because we have, there's the danger of, I don't want to just throw out mansplaining, but there is a danger of like sometimes men wanting either to fix it or to tell women what their experience is. Well, no, this is what it looks like to me. This is what it is. So to me, it's like I invite men in to come with, if you genuinely care about moms and women, come to listen, come to learn. And if you're on fire to support, show up. And then I also want to remind people that we have to be so forgiving of each other. Like, we really need to take no offense. If we always tried to share things in such a way that we really were trying not to offend people, it's like, I want to get this information out there, but please, like, I'm trying to do it as kindly as I can. And then on the other side, people are entering it going, okay, that offended me a little bit, but I know she did not mean to offend, so I'm not going to take any offense. I'm going to lean into that conversation. Let's like talk, let's get there together. And we can, because there's that like mutual respect. So that's what, as far as support is, I would love this space to grow to be that, to be so supportive, showing just appreciation, attitudes of learning. I learned, for me, that's why I'm just like, what was it like for you? How do you do this? My life is as enriched as it is because people have shared themselves with me. And that's how I've learned. And so for me, that's a tool for mothers. Ask other mothers and fathers or partners or whoever, have those conversations, talk to each other. Like when I had my miscarriage, I remember feeling like pretty alone, but my husband was down working in his office. So as it started happening, I was like, I need to go tell him so he can like see what this feels like. Like, maybe that's weird, but I was like, I want to show him what's like coming out of me. I was like, and at one point I was like, I'll be fine. And then I was like, no, I'm going to go and ask him to hug me while I have these like painful cramps or whatever. And that's what it's like, because sometimes we're like, oh, men won't understand. Are we helping them? Are we actually inviting them into these hard moments and giving them the opportunities to support us? Because it takes a world. Like, we need different thinking and opinions and thoughts and ways of doing things that enriches life. And so for mothers, I think sometimes we fall in the habit of everyone's trying to do things the best way they know how. So when they see someone else doing it different, it's, oh, wait, either I'm not doing it the best or they're not. And then there's like quick to judge, right? Do you breastfeed or formula? The way I go into is I'm just like learning more about another person. I'm doing things the best way I know how, but like you're doing it the best way that can exist together. Like, many good ways can exist together. And my best way can get better if you share what you've learned with me.
And what your best way is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like light upon light.
I consider myself a super solid mom friend. I do see myself.
Of course. You're like the initial, for me, you're like the first super solid mom, right? Like, you didn't even know what you were doing when we had that first conversation. And it carried me through a birth, right? And so that's what it's like when people go in with a pure heart, you don't know what impact you're going to have, right? So do something kind for a mom, or even just be like, what can I do for you? Like, how can I support you? Are you okay? Is there anything you want to talk about? There's like little things that we can do that we never know how much of an impact it's going to make. It's like planting a seed, right? It might not sprout now. It might help someone, like with your podcast, right? All these conversations you're having, who knows whose ears it will reach and how it will help them grow.
One thing I did actually recently hear that it made me super happy was that this dude was actually saying that like your podcast is making me a lot more compassionate towards moms. I didn't know moms had to go through all that stuff. And he like started naming out episodes. He was like, this person, I can't believe when they shared this, like this was this. And I was like, whoa. And I didn't really think that like dudes would be listening to my podcast, but I was like, wow. I'm like, oh my God, that dude would be such a desirable man to marry. I'd be like, I would want that dude right now. Because if he would listen and he would understand and know and learn about the troubles that women go through, like how compassionate would he be with his own woman, with his own girl, with his future mother to be, baby mama. And like he would be prepared, he would be like with it, and he would hear firsthand all of these women speaking about their experiences, including yourself, and just be taking notes, be like, oh my God, what Carly shared was so important. Like, I need to go on that super solid mom friend and just be like, what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Like, of how to be a father. How can I be supportive of mothers? What does that support look like? What do you want from me? What would be supportive? It's just tell me what to do. Like very dudes, like they need instructions. Just be like, just tell me how to support you. Give me a manual.
And I
like,
think we're learning. We're learning that, because even I did that interview with you and you're like, what do you need? And I don't even know, right? We also need to take the time to understand that. And I think too, the holdback sometimes of women and mothers are like, I'm good. You don't want to put anyone else out. I find it easier to do something for someone than to let them do something for me. And I see that with women. They'll almost be like, someone's asking, what do you need me to do? And we give the bare scraping the floor of what we need. I would just love you to say thank you. And we're like, we don't, because society, women are naggy, women are needy, right? It's the forces and the past thinking about women and motherhood that still sits in us. Are we allowed to ask for anything? How will that come across? How will it hurt? Women, we think about all of these things. And so I think it's, we want people to ask, but we also have to be brave enough, courageous enough to ask for what we actually need. Even this weekend, so for my husband, for my birthday, it was like, what do you want? What do you need? And he's coming up with gift ideas. And I was like, what do you think about if I just have a weekend to myself? And he was like, oh, cool. That's what you need. It was like, oh yeah. Because weeks up to my birthday, he was like getting stressed out. I'm trying to come up with a surprise for you. And he was like, he was working so hard. And I was like, whoa, hold on. I can help you with that. Like, we often think we need to like surprise our spouses, but usually once you're married, like more what you need is a conversation. And just to be able to like, think about it. And you might actually get what you need. Also, you might not. I always tell my husband that like we can share our needs. We might still not get it just because of the structure of life with children and stuff, but express it. And then we work together to try to make sure those needs are met. And so that's, to me, like with motherhood, is let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. I don't know what I need. In fact, the best thing one of my friends did for me was she would not take no for an answer. She knew what I needed. She's a mom. I'm going to take your kids for a day. You're going to get a massage. It's at a massage school, so it's super cheap. And she lined everything up. She knows the mental workload of motherhood. She knows that, like, even sometimes someone's saying, because honestly, my husband did. He was like, what do you want for your birthday? Or like, what do you want to do? And my first thought was like, oh my God, I have to plan my own birthday too. And I probably reacted like that. And then later I was like, oh wait, he was just saying, what can I do? I want to do what you want. He wasn't like, plan it all and then I'll sit back. He was like, I want to do what you want. And so much of motherhood is this a mental workload. We decide, we got to decide, what do people have for lunch? What do people have for dinner? What are people wearing? What kind of, it's that stuff. And so this friend was like, she took care of everything. And for 2 weeks, I tried to talk her out of it. I wanted it so bad. And yet I had that hard of a time accepting it from her. And she was just like, no, like every excuse. I was like, my son's never been away from me. He's going to cry. I'll put him in the carrier. I'll pace up and down the driveway. She gave me she got rid of all my excuses and she just made it happen. Even the day it was supposed to happen, the massage place, they canceled. And I was like, I guess we can't do it. No, I've rescheduled it for next week. And now they're giving it to you for free because they had to reschedule. And I was like, what? That's what mothers need. They
She
need people to show
handled
up
it.
at such intensity. Yes, that we can't say no, because we're at that cusp of, if I don't do everything, am I a good mom?
Mm.
And so when we share the load, we're like, but am I still a good mom? Like, I took that day, I went and had that massage, I was gone for a couple hours. Am I still a good mom? There's that insecurity and that's the stuff that I feel like we have to share, because when people are like, well, I asked what you needed and you said nothing. And you're like,
Mm.
I know, I got to get better at that, because I didn't mean nothing. I said nothing because I feel mom guilt, I feel insecurity, I feel, right?
Mm.
And that, to me, that just can't happen unless we're like really talking about it. In the first conversation, no one's going to share their deepest insecurity, except maybe me.
Mhm.
And you and I were like, hey, nice to meet you, here's what I'm most scared of. But
Yeah.
that's because we felt safe, and that's what I want to create. I don't know that social media is that place that can be that safe, because you're inviting
Mm.
a lot in. But like, in my heart, that's what a super solid mom friend is. I am someone that's safe and who is not going away ever.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
also, that's like a mom. We're never going away, and neither is our love. And so a super solid mom friend is, I'm
Mm.
here for you.
Mm.
And you might say nothing today, but I'm going to ask you again tomorrow,
Mm.
until you trust me enough to be like, I could use a coffee, whatever it is. Like,
Mm.
that to me is like being a super solid mom friend.
That makes me actually think of a situation where I was trying to act out this quote that I read this morning, and I actually read it like on it was a part of my book on November 13th of the daily reading. And it was about the poor are I'm going to butcher this, but it's like along the lines of, the poor are my trust. Go and ask them of the difficulties
Yeah.
that they've been through, because they are my trust, and go do that. And so I was in England at the time. I was doing my master's when I read this quote, and I was so pumped up. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. And there was this homeless person on the street. Every time that I would walk by this restaurant, like they were always there. I'm like, I'm going to go buy this person a meal, and I'm going to ask them of their troubles. And I went and I bought them Thai food. It was super spicy. I sat down, I ate with him. And then I was like, so tell me your difficulties. And the dude wasn't telling me it. He wasn't telling me his difficulties. And then I was like, in that moment, I realized my sense of entitlement. I'm like, who the hell do I think I am that I buy this person this one meal and want to practice this one quote one time? And I just,
And they're just going to pour their heart out to
yeah,
you, right? You're trustworthy, but they don't know you're trustworthy.
exactly. Did I just think? And it wasn't until that actual situation, and he didn't tell me. And I was like, I was just trying to figure out like why he was homeless. I'm like, how do you even get homeless? You know, all these things. And he said something, he didn't really share what it was, but he said that it scares me to be in an apartment. It frightens me to be in an enclosed space. And I was like, why? And he wouldn't tell me. And I was like, there's so many difficulties that people go through that I'm like, did I just think that because I was a person giving this person a meal? First of all, I got it wrong based on this poor guy was sweating so much. This food was so spicy. And I was like, did I really think like getting Asian food like for this white homeless man was like a good idea? No, it was definitely not the right choice. But even everything I said thereafter, I really didn't understand how long it takes to actually build a relationship with someone. I'm like, I walk by this guy every time. Why don't I always ask him how he's doing and things like that? Why was it that one time? And it really actually took a lot of courage from me to actually do that. I remember it was at night.
Yeah.
I remember reading that quote, and I was shaking actually. I was like, I didn't know that I required so much bravery in order to do this act, because I was like, I've never done it before. Like, I don't know. And I was like, I sat there like literally so entitled to just hear this person's story, and he wouldn't share it with me. And I was like, wow, you actually, duh. Obviously, he's not going to tell you, because people usually do share their deepest, darkest secrets with me. So I didn't think it would be any different with him. I would be like, of course, I bought him a meal too. I don't even buy people meals. But in that moment, it was just a huge lesson for me to be like, you are not entitled to people's stories. And Brene Brown actually talks about this, that you earn the right for other people to be vulnerable with you. It is a privilege to hear people's story. And I think in this case, I think with moms, I really do feel like I will never leave them. Like and I think they know that. That's why it's never like a issue with mothers. But with this person, like this homeless person, like he probably knew on some level that I'm never going to come back, that this was this one time thing and there's no, I don't want to say lack of sincerity, because I really was sincere, but I don't think I understood or took the time or was willing to put in the work in this circumstance to go all the way in learning his issues. But one of the reasons why I am able to do it with Yoga Avec Moi is because I will be a mother in the future. And I know that everything I do now is in fact actually helping myself in the future. I'm actually learning my own needs by listening to you. I'm actually learning how a husband should treat his wife by how I listen to my friends' husbands treat their wife. Like, I know what to expect. Like, I've heard it enough times to do this, and I know I'm gonna be in it. I'm not in it right now, but that's why I can be so in it now until and even after I have kids, because this is like a journey, like a accompaniment, like of a long journey of, I know I'm going to have these difficulties in these tests. And so this is a place that I know I can be in long term. I think maybe also people, like if they were to see their own stance in it, maybe it would help, like in terms of a man, like they could see it in, oh, in my future, I'm going to have a wife, I'm going to have a woman. If I didn't have sisters, if I didn't have women next to me, maybe I wouldn't know like how to treat them, how to behave. Like, I want to be a good husband. Like, how could I do that better? Or like even a single woman, like being like, I need to learn what's the best way to learn how to be a mother. If you know you want to be a mother in the future, is to be around mothers, learn what they need, and get that support like now, build your tribe now. But it's like, even beyond these reasons that are like, that seem like completely self-centered, it's just be a human being and just care about like people. Everyone has needs, and everyone has like challenges. And it's really about which kind of group of people do you really want to be of an assistance with. I don't think a lot of people should be around mothers or be in that group of a super solid mom friend. Like, it would benefit you more for them not to be in there. But I think for those who do have the desire to be and who want to be, like, definitely that's like a home base for so many people, to have that sense of community, so that not only whether it's like you are a mom yet or not a mom, or you have a wife or you don't have a wife, all of these aspects, the society needs to flow with all kinds of people. And there's like groups of people that I think I have a cousin who's really into assisting the elderly. And it's not my particular population of people, but I'm so happy that's her thing. And she's not at all elderly herself. But I think if I think about it, I'm like, I would want someone who's like really passionate about caring for the elderly when I get old. I want to be around people like that. I hope that in the later years of my life, I would have someone like her to care for me, because she's really narrowed in this population. And I think with people like who are attracted to Yoga Avec Moi, or like the super solid mom friend, are people who know and see and value and cherish and nurture mothers already, whether it's their own mothers or that they want to do that. They want to be a better mother in the future themselves. They want to help assist a mother, that they want to assist their wife. They want to be a good husband. All of these things, like, I feel like I'm narrowing the population here, like really like down, but I just find that there's some people whose like purpose in life is to do this, is to highlight this very relationship dynamic. And that's one where more people need to come into because it's so central. I always say in Yoga avec moi, it's so important because the mother is the one that reflects the unconditional love of God to us. The reason why you care for mothers is actually the most is to become a receptacle most of God's love. And so this is the first thing I talked about on the YAM podcast is YAM, the YAM podcast. YAM is the seed sound of the heart, which is only where universal love exists. And the reason is you need to only have God in your heart because that's the only way you can love universally. You're not meant to have your husband in your heart. You're not meant to have your mom in your heart. You're not meant to have your children in your heart. You're only meant to have God in your heart, because any other thing you have that you put in your heart to replace God is a reduction of your capacity to love wide. So this podcast and all the efforts that you're making is really about, even though we're focusing on mothers, but to me, it's actually when you focus on mothers, you tap into the love of universal love. You tap into a love that is greater, because when a woman becomes a mother, that's when her access to that universal love, that mirror of God's love to us, becomes more reflected. And so that is a sacred thing that we need to protect. That is something that we need more of. That's like the thing that we all just need to blast our hearts open wide. I'm almost tempted to
That's
say,
what I think.
just like how your doctor opened up your vaginas, how we need to be opening up our hearts.
Maybe a little less aggressive than that. But the way I think of it is like having my children is like the first feeling of selfless love. Because before, like I would say my relationship, or what are you doing for me? What are you doing? And so I see it as when we say like God is love, right? That's what you want in your heart. You want love in your heart so that you can give that to others. And so like when we think like back to the imperfect soul is self-centered, right? When we're at the very first is we're needing more and more. And then as our capacity grows and we're able to serve others, we start doing it, serving others for the sake of serving others. Because once we have that like love or God or whatever it is for someone, once we fill up our fountain, then we can give it outward. And that's what, to me as a mother, it's the most like outward kind of love I've had. Because even I noticed like when I'll be trying to get my son down for nap, on the days that I'm like, he needs a nap, I'm just trying to get him down and I'm detached, it's all good. On the days that I'm like, you need to nap so that I can go have a break, right? I'm like, as soon as I start thinking about myself, I get angry when my needs aren't met. And then I have to go, wait, okay, maybe he doesn't need a nap today. We'll keep playing. Or it's like when I let go of myself, I'm able to give more. And I was thinking like what you were sharing about the homeless person that you wanted to be of service to, right? It started out selfish. You were like, I read this quote. I know it's good. I know it's right. I'm going to go do it. You see him every day. He might not see you every day. So who are you trustworthy that he doesn't know? And so when it's truly service, when you're truly, what do you need? Instead of, I need you to tell me your stories, right? It's what do you like, being of service is what do you need? And we're showing up for the homeless people or showing up for mothers is like, the first time you ask a mom, what do you need? They're probably going to say nothing, right? Until they see that you mean it and you're consistent, or right. You might have to show ways. And for different people, it's different. Some people I have that trust with. So heck yeah, take my children, bye. Some people I might not yet. And I might need to feel that they really mean it. And it's like, we also have to be mindful of like the optics of who we are. Like when you were sharing that, it made me think of another weekend that I had to myself. It was actually that weekend I had a miscarriage and then I went and had a weekend for myself. I was at the mall And so I don't have my kids. I'm so used to my kids being on me all the time. I forgot what I look like without my kids. I probably don't look like super momly. I don't know. I probably look like a cool 25-year-old. Yeah, stop, please. But I went to the bathroom, and like when you have kids, it is so hard to go to the bathroom for yourself. Like literally, sometimes I have to go pee so bad, and my son just does not want to go into the public restroom. He will scream on the, like we've been in Target, he's screaming on the floor crying. He does not want to go in there because he thinks he's going to get his diaper changed. And I'm like, it's not about you, homie. I gotta go pee. But he won't, so I don't get to go pee. So I'm by myself, just like luxuriously going pee whenever I want. So I go into the bathroom, and a mom comes in with a big stroller and her son, and the bathroom stalls were like super teeny, and I could see it's like she couldn't get it in. And so then in my head, I'm like, oh girl, I get it. And I think here, I said, I literally was like, if you want me to just watch him while you go pee, I can do that. And she was like, oh no, that's okay. And she like left the bathroom and left. And I was like, yeah, of course, crazy Carly. Nobody's gonna just leave their child with you. Like literally, if someone is, I want to be helpful, but like a mom isn't going to leave her child with a stranger, not even to go pee. Are you kidding me? Like the narrative in her head is, I just had to go pee and I came out and someone walked off with my child. So it's, unfortunately, there's so many bad things that happen in the world that sometimes we don't even get to go pee, but it's that trust. And that's what, to me, that's why motherhood is so important, because we're trying to instill that. We're trying to help our children be good people so that eventually the world is a very loving, trusting place. I know this is big kumbaya, big picture, but is that not the goal? That a mom can go to the bathroom and let another person stand with her child. But in that moment, I was just thinking, I gotta help this mom. I didn't take a step back and be like, it probably looks like I'm trying to steal your baby. Like when we're like trying to be of service in these moments, is like, how are we making someone feel? What does it look like? What does my intention look like to them? And then we have to like purify our motive. If people really want to be a service to mothers, I get why mothers are the ones serving mothers, because until you're like, that's why I'm so impressed with you and a couple other friends I have. Before I was a mom, I've apologized to my other mom friends. I'm like, yo, I was horrible. Not like intentionally and not maliciously, but just like negligently. I was just like, yo, put your
Didn't
baby in the
know.
car and drive over here. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why, to me, I want people to know. Because if you don't know until you become a mom, and now moms are caring about moms and moms are burnt out, again, we can't fault anyone. And like you were saying, it's, you want the people that care most about moms to help. But I think it's just that we all start somewhere. And some people are super on fire about caring for the elderly. And then some people, once they get elderly, they'll be like, yo, this is important. Or there's people that might be like, I didn't think I cared about that, but the more I got involved, the more I started to care. And so that's what, to me, these spaces, I welcome you. Where if you're like, yeah, I got a mom, I'll show up. Cool. That's a start. And then eventually you might like care about your mom. Eventually you might care about someone else's mom. We're teenagers, we're like, yeah, I got a mom, I love her, I'm not gonna call her every day. And then suddenly you get older and you're like, mom, I'm so sorry I didn't call every day. Right? The other day my kids were so difficult, and I came over and my mom was gonna watch my son, and I just started crying to her and apologizing to her for probably things that I did. I don't know if I ever did them, but because my children were doing these things to me, I imagined I probably did them to her. And I was like, sobbing in her arms, and she's, it's okay. And I think that's it. Like mothers, it's like a long-term investment. You want to be appreciated, and you might not get appreciated by your children ever, or maybe we're 80 or something like that. But to me, there is a seed in everyone's heart to care about moms. And you might start with your own, and then you might end with every mom in the world. That's what happened for me. I get, when you're younger, you're like, you just take it. You just like expect your mom to always be there. It's just for granted. And that's why I say society takes for granted mothers. They take it for granted. And I know that because I did that to my own mom. Even still, I'm probably got a lot of work to do to actually appreciate her. but it's the journey, right? It's to do a little bit better and in every
Mm.
aspect of life. So this is just one aspect that I happen to think is so important because I just keep coming back to it's the foundation. Like it is, let's care about the foundation of society, not because we're afraid of losing it, not because we think moms are going to stop loving their children. We do it, let's do it because moms love their children no matter what. Let's do it because moms are going to go through hard stuff no matter what. Like how easy is it to just make that switch from like expectation to appreciation?
Hmm. Let's just end there. I think that's like the best place to just
Do it.
like, and we're done, guys. Do it. Okay. Just appreciate moms. It's that simple. It
Yeah.
seems just so silly. Thank you for sharing all your gems with us, your most precious mom gems, all the good ones, all the not so great ones. I think so many people will have so much to get from this one single podcast that it's like insane. Go and join the Super Solid Mom Friend Facebook group. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Is it also called Super Solid Mom Friend? The
It
YouTube channel?
is. It is under Super Solid Mom Friend.
Go watch the stuff. It is hilarious. I'm going to leave some of the links in the blog of this episode. You are going to want to go listen to them. Until next time, my dear friends. Bye, mamas. We appreciate all of you. Hope you enjoyed that podcast. And if you do want to join the Yoga Avec Mom membership portal, that's where all of the moms are hanging out and chilling out and sharing their experience. If you would like to also join the Super Solid Mom Friend Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel, I will leave the information in the blog post for you to check out. It is super amazing. I love Carly so much, and I love her initiatives, and I love everything that she's doing. And so I want more and more people to support her in her area. She's really involved with doing things in person where she is. And in the blog post, I will write the city name in the states where she is currently located, and you can see if there's any in-person events that you could go to. Holler at her, go and visit that place, go and visit that city. It will be an all-round amazing experience. And if you want to be a Super Solid Mom Friend, then show your support by sharing your appreciation to more mothers. Share your story with us in the comments, in the blog post. We would love to hear it. And do leave us a review at the YAM Podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts, and we want to hear what you think of the podcast and how it's left an impact on you. If there's any insights that you gain from the YAM Podcast, please do let us know in the comments of the blog. We would love to hear it. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.